Appraiser eLearning. You need some education? Check us out at appraiserelearning.com. We've got live classes. We've got live virtual classes. We've got, of course, online on demand. And we also have non-CE courses, which have been a really big hit, learning specifics in our profession. And sometimes you even have takeaways. We offer free stuff like today. The cost is right? So we offer the appraisal report webinar once a month complimentary, as well as the appraisal update podcast, which runs about weekish, once a week. You can catch both of these on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, I recommend you go over to YouTube, check Appraiser eLearning out, and hit the subscribe button. Sometimes we have special announcements or special edition broadcasts, so you're not going to want to miss any of those. And if you subscribe to our channel, you'll be ready to receive those. We will take your questions live today. I'm pretty excited about this topic and a special guest, a real special guest. And I do want to shout out and thank our sponsor, LIA Administrators and Insurance Services. Thank you for all you do for appraisers, as well as supporting us with the Appraisal Report webinar. Thank you, LIA. All right, without any further delay, let's get on to our topic with our special guest, Mr. Ernie Durbin. Ernie is the Chief Valuation Officer for Voxter. He's a pretty knowledgeable guy. He's fun to be around. He's fun to debate. Ernie, you're a good debater. I like debating you sometimes.
Well, we're not always on the other side of each other, but we do have those occasions, Brian.
It's funny because I was going to say the exact same thing. It's hard to debate you because most of the time we're in agreement. Yeah. But yeah, you're a great guy, and thank you for carving out some time to be with us today. We certainly appreciate you being here. So, we're talking about some AI stuff. In particular, we're talking about ChatGPT. And before we get, real far down the road with that, I want you to give just a real basic overview of what the heck that is, because Ernie, there are still people out there that don't even know what it is. Okay. And that's fine if you don't, but I don't want us to start getting in the weeds and talking about the specifics and all the bells and whistles and what it can do, when there might be somebody watching right now that doesn't even know what it is. Okay. So let's just start at the very beginning. What the heck is ChatGPT?
Okay, so ChatGPT is one of many models out there in what's called artificial intelligence. And the models that we're accustomed to are called large language models. And a large language model allows you to basically ask questions in your native language. It doesn't have to be English, by the way. You can ask questions in English and say, give me the answer in Spanish. It's really a crazy tool. But nowadays, the ChatGPT 4 and most of the models that are out there are actually using live internet information. So you can get very up-to-date information. It used to be that there was a cutoff date on that. And basically, rather than Googling something, you can ask questions of your computer and get English answers back in normal conversational mode. We'll be playing with that some this morning. It's a very valuable tool for appraisers. I want to get into how to use it mainly for things that we do on a daily basis: manipulating data, understanding data, finding subsets of data, regression analysis, other things like that. But you can also use it just to help edit your commentary. You can put it in there. You can say, hey, make sure this is completely objective, and I'll show you an example of that in a few minutes. There's all kinds of tools, but it's available pretty much free for everybody now. You can just Google ChatGPT and get started. There is a paid level that gives you all the time access. You don't time out occasionally. But to get started, I just use the free version, Brian.
Yeah, so I've played around with it a little bit, and I use it. And what's interesting is I have found that as I continue to learn about it, and I'm way behind you, but I was told ChatGPT, if you think about a shark in the ocean, right? And ChatGPT 4 is like a whale in the ocean. So
Yeah.
it's bigger, stronger, more powerful, and does more things. I've been told that ChatGPT 5 is going to be like the ocean.
Yeah.
So,
A pretty way to put it, right?
so when is ChatGPT 5 supposed to come out or be available to you and I? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, the big effort right now among AI companies is what's called general intelligence, right? Which is supposed to completely emulate the way, not completely, but as completely as possible, emulate the way humans think and interact with data. That is, yeah, that I've heard is a number of years away, and I've heard people saying we may see it by the end of this year. I mean, so it all depends upon how quickly that's made accessible to us. I'm sure there's all kinds of artificial intelligence that's being tested out there that's not available for the general public yet. But
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah. And it's scary to think if we've got this, what does the government have? Right. So we've heard the news reports where, they've put an image of Taylor Swift or somebody like that, and it's been fraudulent. So there are concerns about the use of this type of technology, but there's good and bad and everything, and there's a lot of good. So we're going to talk about some of this today. Before you pull that screen up, and I'm really excited for us to be able to share this with our audience live, real time. Hopefully it works.
yeah, and by the way, we're without a safety net, and you never can tell what you get from chat. So here we go.
Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You never can tell you what you get with a live broadcast, and you can never tell what you're going to get with Bryan Reynolds, especially Ernie as the guest. It can go anywhere today, right?
Yeah.
But before we pull that up, let me just say this. To Ernie's point, I've used it. I use it for a multitude of things, but let me tell you one thing I use it for on a regular basis. When I'm writing a letter or I'm writing an email, maybe to solicit a new client or a government agency, I will use it as an editor.
Absolutely.
And when Isaac, and before him David Bronner, hey, write an article for us. I'm like, guys, I'm not a writer. I'm a talker. I can't write.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always said I need a very strong editor. And they're like, we got you. Kim Green does a great job for Appraiser eLearning. But now if I type something up, I can run it through this thing, Ernie, and let it edit and correct all my deficiencies, because I got a bunch. And I love it. But it can do so much more than just be an editor of our own writings, right?
And that's really what I want to show today. I mean, appraisers, we're responsible for our work product. We sign on the bottom, and we can't necessarily trust ChatGPT to do our research for us, because the truth of the matter is we don't know exactly where that data came from.
Yeah.
What we're going to see today is how we use the data that we have and let chat turbocharge our work.
Love it. Love it. Well, let's get started. If you could share your screen, do that. Before you do any appraisal stuff, I want to just ask it I don't know, let me ask it something and see what it jumps out at.
Oh, you want to go straight to chat then? I was going to go. All right.
Where do you want to go? I don't care. We'll go wherever you want to. We have no script. Here's my script. It's blank. That's the beautiful thing about these broadcasts.
This is a ChatGPT raw window where it's got. Okay. What do you want to ask, brother?
I want to ask how to build a birdhouse.
How do I build a birdhouse? Did I spell that right? And you don't have to spell it right, by the way. It figures it out. How do I build a birdhouse?
That's it. That's all I want to know.
All right. Well, that's kind of, I mean, we could get a lot more specific than that, right?
Building a birdhouse is a fun and simple woodworking project. It's going too fast for me to read. Oh my God.
Right, so here's all the stuff that you need, right? Here's your step by step, right? The small birds. Do you want small birds or larger birds? the base dimensions, cut the wood pieces. You'll need a front and back panel, and it's still working, right?
Oh my gosh. Go back, scroll back up a minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, we ask it a very simplistic question. How do I build a birdhouse? Well, it says first you need materials. You need some wood and screws and drill and glue and hinges. And then it says design it. It's telling me how I can design it. Now it's telling me to cut the wood pieces in what sizes to cut them for the front and back panels, the side panels.
You have to make a decision whether you want small or large birds.
Yeah.
I
want an ostrich, right? No. I mean, that's incredible. Look at that.
Yeah.
And guys, you can ask this anything. How do I bake a chocolate cake? How do I, now let's get in, Ernie,
wait, how much should I charge for this? We'll get into the valuation piece here a little bit.
Are we about to start price fixing? I don't want to hear anything.
For this.
I don't want to hear anything on that. Don't get me in trouble.
No, how much should I charge for this birdhouse? I mean, I didn't even know you're going to ask this question, but
I know you didn't.
Oh, look, it's
tell you what to charge for the screws. I love it.
It's doing the cost approach first, Brian.
Wow.
Oh, labor.
If you want to make $15 an hour labor.
Example pricing, premium bird.
Unbelievable.
All right, but that's fun, but I'm clearing that. Let's get this.
Let's talk about some appraisal stuff, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm off of birdhouses. So, all right. So I'm gonna share something that I think most of us are familiar with real quick here. I think I can share just the portion of the screen. We were having a problem with this. If not, I'll have to share my whole screen. But we all use data, right? And we get our data from all kinds of different places. But I tend to download lots of data from the MLS, and it's not showing that way. So I'm going to share the whole screen. Give me a second. Before we got started here, we were testing this and had the unfortunate experience of it not working, but we figured a workaround.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, Ernie, let me just say, guys, keep your questions coming in. Ryan gave us a good comment. We'll get to those in a minute. We're not going to read them the minute they come in, but we will try to get to all your statements and questions throughout the broadcast. Hopefully time will permit, but we'll take certain segments of the broadcast to address your questions or concerns. So thank you, Ryan, for the comment. And guys, keep your questions coming. We'll get to as many as we can. Ernie?
Okay, what I have here, Brian, is a download of 3 years of sales, active listings, pending listings within a 1 mile radius of a property in Hamilton, Ohio. I live in Hamilton, Ohio. And this is what we get from the MLS. Now, think about this. There's a lot of data in here, right? There's so much data in here that you can get lost in it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to do I'm spinning around. I realize. I apologize for that. But if you want to do calculations on this data, you'd think, well, that's easy. It's in a spreadsheet. I'll just go right ahead and do it, right? Except for there's problems with this data. For instance, here's our original list price. That doesn't look like it's a problem, except for it's expressed with a comma in it, right? So when you go to sort that, you get all kinds of different results. Do you follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This data, although the data is a mixture of numeric data, which is great for what we do with data, right? Sorting, regression analysis, other things. And then we have a lot of textual data in there, which is information for us, but it's hard for us to process mathematically. So what I want to show you here real quick is how you can use chat to manipulate this data, right? And I'm also going to show you, can you see this in the lower right-hand corner? I've got a list of prompts that we're going to go through.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, now, so I'm not going to show you these prompts anymore other than what I cut and paste so that we can have a larger screen for you. But what I will tell you is you're welcome to have a copy of these prompts.
So these, just so that we understand, and me in particular, these are prompts that you've created, Ernie, on this Word document here. This is a prompt list that you've created.
Right, exactly.
Okay, great.
And I've created this for a task that you can do repeatedly. All you have to do in your own marketplace is download your MLS, look at some of these, and I'll discuss them in a second. Look at some of the headings. They may be different in your MLS, but find the same ones and then edit this document, and it will work fine for you. You'll be able to do exactly what we're doing today.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
So we're going to start with, let me go back to seeing if I can just share. I think I can just share the prompt screen, and that's where we'll work for a while. So,
okay.
And it'll be easier for people to see. Just give me a second. Hopefully this works. There, just the prompt screen. Okay.
Got it.
So you guys remember the data that we had there. It's a lot of data there. I think there's 181 records. There are 200 or 122 different columns of information in there. We don't need all that information, but we need a portion of that information. So I'm going to start by asking Chat to take specific information from the Excel file, reformat that information, and then create another Excel file with that reformatted information. So first, I'm gonna upload the file that I have. Right, it's 3 years worth of MLS data, and now I'm going to insert this prompt. Now you can't see the whole prompt here until I'm going to start the machine working, and then we'll look at the prompt in a little more detail. But basically, I said I would like to upload a CSV file for multiple linear regression analysis. After uploading the file, I want you to focus on these columns: school district, selling price, selling date, total square footage, lot size, year built, bedrooms, baths, garage spaces, and give me the full street address as well, right?
Okay.
So what I'm doing here, but here I'm going to start telling this to do other things, like remove the commas from selling price to convert this to a numeric field. Drop any rows where the year built is blank or contains information that can't be formatted as a numeric value. Think about older, or you know how realtors do that. They don't always put the right information in, right? Remove any rows where the total finished area is blank. Create a new column. And now I'm asking it to create a new column of selling months back by calculating the number of months back from the selling date column. Now, can I do that in Excel? Yeah, I can do that, but it requires a few formulas to do that and a lot of time to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Create a new column called actual age by calculating the year minus the selling date of the year built. The year built minus the selling date of the property. Create a new column called lot square footage and calculate the value from a numeric value of the lot area. Remove any rows that are missing these values. And then create a new column called school district or subject district. Calculate a value of 1 if the string has the word Hamilton in it, because I want Hamilton City Schools, and 0 if it's not. Now, I'll show you why that's important in a second. But look, it says already I've cleaned the data, and here is your data to be processed. Now, I'm going to download this real quick and show you the clean data.
So this is going to be a clean data based on what you told it to do in an Excel spreadsheet, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, right here it is. And I don't know if I can share this the way I'd like to, so I'm going to share the screen for a second so that you can see it in side by side. So give me just 1 second.
Okay. And for those of you watching, if you know, in the little screen, there is a expand button. I've been doing that. You can expand so that you can really see what he's doing.
Now look,
if you need to.
This is the data we started with. Remember all that data?
Mm-hmm.
That was numbers and different things. Here's what we're left with after chat reformats. It pulls out the school district, shows the selling price as a number, has the selling dates, has the GLA, the lot size, the year built, bedrooms and baths as numeric, garage spaces is numeric, and then the full address. And here's our calculated months back, right? Here's the actual age, which never existed in the data, Brian, but now exists for our use, right?
Scroll the bottom one back up. Let's go to the very top of that.
Yeah.
And I assume the addresses are going to be the same. What is that very first one, the address? And we're guessing, guys, because Howman, 269 Howman. So is that correspond with the first? Yeah, 269 Howman. Very cool. Right. Very cool. So it's zoomed in on the data that you asked for, and it cleaned it up. It did a couple of calculations you asked it to, and it's a lot better.
Okay, but what do we do with that? Let's go back to our chat screen. Apologize, but I'm going to have to be bouncing back.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine, Ernie. If I'm able to keep up, anybody
share just the chat, and we'll stay in chat for a long time now. So those of you who are getting seasick, hopefully you won't have to do that in the future. Okay, so here we go. We downloaded the data. Now, hey, Brian, right there, that's huge, right? Because I mean that's an hour's worth of work. Easy, right? That we just did. But we have the data downloaded. It's now in our electronic work file. If you want to do your own regression analysis or subset analysis, you use that data, you can stop here. I don't know why you do that, because I think there's a lot more that we can do with this, right? So our next prompt, we're going to say, okay.
Hey, Ernie, let me stop you real quickly, and I'm not going to do this a lot, but Kimberly asked, do we need the ChatGPT 4 to do what you just did? Or will the free version should do that, right?
Yeah, and chat, by the way, chat 4 is free. But you don't. This is basic math, right? And actually what's happening here, Brian, is to get into the weeds a little bit, it's producing Python scripts in the back that are doing this, and I can show you those in a minute too. It's very powerful, very, very powerful.
All right, let's go.
So here we go. Now that I've cleaned that up, I'm going to put this prompt in. I'm going to say, now run a multilinear regression with selling price as the dependent variable. That's what we want to determine, right? And using the independent variables months back, actual age, lot size, school district, and total finished area, which we know is GLA. Provide details on the coefficients, their contribution, rank them, right? Now, you can do this yourself in Excel, but you're not going to have, it's going to take you forever. But you will get the exact same results, because what we have here is math, right? We're operating on the same set of data. And it's taking its time. But here you go. So here it's got a little summary up here for us. It says the intercept, the coefficients are school district, $78,000. I'm rounding here, $78,000, $1,800 a month back. So the market's appreciating. Difference in age around 1,400. The total square footage adjustment in a delta is somewhere around $60. Lot size, let's call it $1.80, right? And here it tells you more about which one has the strongest influence, and narrates this. Now, I'm going to try popping this out. I have to share my whole screen to show this, but I'll only do it once, so that you can see that this is what this is doing in the background. And by the way, I highly encourage appraisers. I know you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but to read a little book called How to Automate Anything. It's an online book, and it teaches you how to use Python in something called Jupyter Notebooks. It sounds really complex. I promise you it's not, right? But here's the Python code that it used to do that regression. And you can cut and paste this right into Python and start building your own models yourself, right? Based on these things. Again, that's an incredible tool. And I realize that most of us are not programmers, but that doesn't mean that you can't learn those things. I'm very familiar with Python, but I wasn't 5 years ago, right?
So that would create your own.
Okay, so here we have the
analysis.
regression now. Let's talk about this a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Are we going to use these as adjustments? I would dare say probably not, right? They're starting points for adjustments. And what this has identified to you as an appraiser is, guess what? School district makes a huge difference. Now, there are a lot of school districts actually right here, and this one here has within 1 mile of this property. There's New Miami School District, there is Talawanda School District, and there's Hamilton School District. What I've identified here is I better stay in my school district rather than go outside my school district and introduce a large adjustment for differences in location. I should do everything I can to remain in the school district. But more importantly, I have something very defensible about why I made that decision, right? It's actually the strongest impact in this regression model.
Ernie, I can't believe this, but
You're muted,
we're actually,
I think, or I can't hear
you. Can't hear me? It says my mic
Brian?
is on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Ernie. Jim
Can't
Morrison,
hear you.
do you
So
have
whatever
me?
you're saying, I hope is good.
I hear you.
Okay.
Maybe let's
Yeah.
do our.
Send Ernie a message because I bet he can't hear you either. so
Well, okay, I can hear you now. What in the world
Oh.
did you say about me?
okay, I'm not gonna tell you what I talked to you about. I was calling you all kinds of names. No, hang on 1 second, Ernie. Time out. I cannot believe we're already at the halfway mark. But we're
Yeah, all right, we got to move
already-
along here.
It's crazy. But hold on, we got a little business to do, and we've got questions coming in like crazy. So I want you to think of the most exciting thing you wanted to share with us on this ChatGPT, because we're going to run out of time, unbelievably. Jim Morrison, you have a little business to do. Get on it.
All right. Yeah. Our sponsor today is LIA. We really appreciate that. LIA Administrators and Insurance Services provides E&O insurance with a commitment to superior customer service, outstanding liability education, and unmatched claim defense. Our professional liability program benefits over 10,000 real estate professionals nationwide. Explore our Appraiser Liability Education by Peter Christensen and cost-effective seminars created exclusively for valuation professionals. Our underwriters, each with an average of 26 years experience, are a dedicated group to supporting appraisers. And visit liability.com to discover how LIA can safeguard your business. And there should be a pop-up if anybody wants to join that. Brian, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, these sessions are being recorded. So if you've missed any or you got to hop off, keep in mind that you can jump over to our YouTube channel and watch this in its entirety. Ernie, before you get back started up, Mike asked a question. And I do want to have some time for questions here in a little bit, but this one's relevant to the example you just gave. Mike just asked a question. He said, "Oh, that's great, but have you checked those results?" Ernie, for example, is the $77,000 premium for Hamilton because of the district, or the homes just superior quality in Hamilton?
Well, that's the neat thing about using regression analysis, is because you can control for some of those factors, right? So in other words, you can determine if properties outside, and that's about what we're about ready to do here. Here, for instance, I just asked it briefly, provide a histogram of selling price. This is everything in the model, right? We know, for instance, that school district makes a difference. And to answer that gentleman's question, New Miami is a distinctly smaller homes, older homes, but very proximate. And so, yes, that's being captured. That's part of it. But when you begin to control for age, size, lot size, condition, we can do that, believe it or not, and some of these other factors, then you start isolating those factors, right? So here's an histogram of the selling prices in the market in the sample that we just had. I'm going to ask chat really quickly here. Okay, well, you know what? Let's remove everything from the model that's not in Hamilton schools. Remove all rows where subject district equals 0. And now it just says I did that. Okay, well, great. Okay, now we have to say, what do you want to do now? Well, let's now provide a histogram of sale prices and see what kind of difference we have there. And while it's here we go. Now we can see it looks similar, but look up here. We're starting well below, like down around 50,000. That's some of the properties outside the district. Versus here, we're starting, much closer to 150,000. So we've represented more of where our subject belongs by removing those other properties. Now we're going to rerun the regression again. Okay. Rerun it again without the school district as a coefficient, because we don't need that in there. We know that we want to stay in the school district because it's such a large determiner, right? Are you still there, Bryan?
I'm here, buddy. I'm here. I'm soaking it all in best I can.
Okay, so here, oh, wow, our intercept's a lot higher, right? Months back is a little bit higher. Age is higher. Square footage is down because there's probably
lower.
Little less difference in properties in this area. Lot size is similar. Here it tells you, I'm really speeding up here. So now I'm going to introduce our subject. Okay. And by the way, I'll send these prompts out to anybody who wants them. I have a subject with these characteristics. First of all, I want the valuation done currently. That's 0 months back, right? It's in school district 1. We don't need that anymore. Lot size, total square footage, age, garage spaces, and bedrooms. Now, provide a histogram of where my subject fits in the market, right? That's what I'm asking it essentially here. Now, I can tell you right now, I've used histograms in my reports for years to try to demonstrate a marketplace and where the subject, where the subject belongs. And I can tell you can't do them this fast, brother. Unfortunately, this is kind of hard to see, but here you have a histogram of price, and then your subject marker, and I'd have to download this for you to see it better. Let me see if I can stretch it out. Can you guys see it any better? Not really.
A little bit. I think if everybody expands their screen, it's a little hard with the size image. There you go. Much better.
How's that? Is that better? Yeah. So here we see our subject property, where it fits in terms of lot size, total livable area, and age. And so it's very similar to other properties in the area, right? So I'm gonna continue doing a little research on this. I'm saying, okay, well now based on, and here's where everybody's gonna get mad at me. So just go ahead and get ready. I'm gonna say, okay, well based on these characteristics in the regression model, what do you think the value of the subject is? So basically what we've done here is kind of our own little custom AVM. I'm not suggesting that you do this in all your reports, but it's an interesting piece of information that calculates a value of 413,000.
Unbelievable,
right? And it's basing it on. You could obviously apply a lot of other variables in as coefficients. Basement finish is an example, things like that, right? But here's where
Jim Morrison, get all the lenders and AMCs out of the room. We don't want them to see this. we don't want this to replace appraisers, right? Right, Ernie?
It doesn't come close to replacing appraisers. But I'll tell you what, whenever CU comes back and says that's worth $330,000, you're actually doing the same math as they are, and you can say you're wrong. Here's what I had in my file on this. But now I'm saying, based on the subject characteristics, show me the 6 most similar properties in the data set with months back less than 12, include the address column, and explain the results. In other words, help me pick my comps. Right?
Based upon the characteristics that I've loaded into you,
Yeah.
analyze and tell me which ones are the most comparable.
That's right. Yeah. So you're controlling this, right?
Right.
This you're not asking it to tell you based on its own opinion.
It's based on what you've put in.
Right. 400, 405. Hey, man. I'm telling you right now, I would start looking at those 6 comparables first. Right.
Right.
You know, I mean,
and then you as the appraiser can ultimately decide, well, wait a minute. Now this, for whatever reason,
of course,
I'm taking those last 2 on Beeler out. There's, those were not arm's length transactions or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. We got to fight fire with fire. And you said something earlier about the lenders and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, they're using AVMs, and we know that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is using modeling in the background to identify what they think is most comparable. Their models are going to come up with very similar things here, right? So you can begin by addressing, I considered 4090 Beeler that sold for $345,000. However, X, Y, and Z, right?
Right.
So, I've got just a couple more prompts here to show you, and then we can take all kinds of questions.
Great.
I'm a real estate appraiser. Can you please explain these results in layman's terms to be placed in my report?
So now you're telling the machine, I'm an appraiser. You need to communicate this in appraiser language, or at least so an appraiser can understand.
Well, not just no. You're saying I'm an appraiser, but I want this explained in layman's terms for the intended user of my report.
Gotcha.
Probably also for me. But anyway, so here it begins. And look, it just started key points, and you can say, expand on this. I don't have this in the prompts, but I'm just going to try it.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, as he does this thing is so smart. Look, he said, expand on this, and look what it's doing. I mean, it will write a novel for you if you want it to. And Ernie,
now this,
go ahead.
You shouldn't be pasting this in your report, but you could certainly cut and paste it in and edit it and put your own opinions in it.
Make it your own. Right.
How these properties impact the subject value. Check this out, right?
Now, right there in that one, say, well, wait a minute, that's too long. So write this more in a more concise manner, or just put more concise.
Yeah.
And it'll
here I'm saying, okay, that's the comparable selection, but I'm backing up and say, well, explain the regression results now, right? So if you wanted to include the regression results, or if you wanted to understand them yourself, right?
Nice.
And again, it's telling you all kinds of information, but that original data set's in there, Bryan, and we could be asking all kinds of different questions, right? Mm-hmm. We could be saying, hey, show me only the properties with 20,000 square feet or more of land area. Show me only the properties with 4 bedrooms. And you're asking it for facts, and you're going to get factual information back, right?
Ernie, and I know this is kind of a side question, but in regression in general, and I've heard many different things over my career when I ask mathematicians or statisticians or just really smart people like you, how much data you said you had 3 years of data, I think over 130 sales. Is that what you were putting in there? Let's say that we were in a rural market and we don't have that luxury of that many sales. What number do I need? And I'll share with you the 3 different numbers I've heard when I commonly ask this. What sample size do I need in order to achieve credible assignment results? What would you say is a minimum sample size?
Well, so sample size is going to change by the amount of coefficients that you are examining. right?
Okay.
So if you're just saying, oh, okay, look at lot size and look at age and look at GLA, you can get by with a smaller sample size than if you were asking for basement finish and other
Sure.
things.
But
Right.
what's your definition of smaller?
Uh,
30, 60, 100? What's smaller?
I feel uncomfortable whenever I get under 50, but that doesn't mean I don't use it.
Okay.
Right.
And the numbers I've heard is 30, 60, and 90. And for some reason, I hear 31
Yeah.
as opposed to 30. And I guess it's because they're wanting that odd number instead of an even number. I don't know. But that's about 31 is the lowest I've ever heard.
So in this last prompt, I said, please rewrite the above commentary in only objective language, removing all subjective content. This is very important.
Love it.
And then it removes all those wishy-washy words, right? So look, I guess what I'm trying to drive home here is, to me, the best way that we use regression, or pardon me, we use chat, is to take data that we're already familiar with and comfortable with, and have it do the heavy lifting for us, right? Everything that we did with chat, we can do in Excel, but
Sure.
it would take us 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah, or more.
Hold on a second. I need to. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me? All right. Let's get some questions out of the way, Ernie, because we're simply running out of time, and I could keep you here all day. In fact, I'm just curious if anybody's watching right now would be interested in Ernie and I get together for a longer session on this. I mean, there might be a small fee to do that, but if we were to do a 2-hour or even maybe a half a day, if I could twist Ernie's arm, session, and maybe we give you these prompts, let us know. Let Morrison know if you'd be interested in that. Maybe we put together something like that. I got to convince Ernie into it. But Ernie, here's a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask my question, but don't answer it yet, because I'm going to follow it up with what Ryan said earlier. I know there's a lot of concern. There's been a lot of noise that says, well, wait a minute. This isn't your independent analysis anymore, independent, impartial, objective. You're relying on AI. It's not really you. I mean, should you be listing the name of the creator of AI in your certification as providing significant real property appraisal assistance? On and on and on and on. And let me go forward and read what Ryan just said. Ryan said, make sure to review your work and verify the data. We just finished a settlement for an appraiser who used AI to write his market analyses. The appraiser inserted the output and originally intended to update the data with MLS, but forgot. The market analysis in the report was 100% false. The intended use of the report, I think he means for the appraisal, the intended use was for a divorce and was thrown out. Appraiser's client ended up not having an appraisal in the settlement and had to only use the other appraisal in the manner, the one provided by the spouse. Ouch. So I guess that witness was discredited real quickly, and his testimony wasn't utilized in that divorce settlement. So what are your responses to, number one, checking your work, which I think we all agree we need to do that. But number two, the first part where I said a lot of the naysayers out there says you better be careful using that because it's no longer your independent opinion.
That's absolutely correct in the example that he provided, right? Where you're asking it to write for you. Okay, that's not what this is doing, though, right? This is we're uploading data that comes from our own data source that we're familiar with, that we know how the square footage is calculated, because it's the same data you're using whenever you're putting 3 comps on a grid, right? And everything that you go through in the process of your normal valuation, you need to consider when you're using AI as well. The difference is if, for instance, that, and this happens a lot in Ohio at least, we have finished basements, right? And there's one county that I work in that is very judicious about separating the above grade and below grade finish.
Mm-hmm.
There's another county that there's another. I'm answering my own questions here. There's another county that always lumps them together, right? So it's total finished area, but they show you the basement finish elsewhere. That's a headache, because whenever you go to search for comparables in that county, you got to try to figure out which ones have it in. Well, not if you're using ChatGPT, Brian. I'm just downloading all 180 sales and saying, okay, is one of those prompts in the beginning? Take the total living area and subtract the below grade area and create a new one called above grade finished area, right? Now suddenly I've got data that I can immediately look for the best comparables in. Now I can do it in Excel, yes, but I can also just do it verbally and have this doing all kinds of other things. So to answer the question, it depends upon how you use this tool. If you're using it to better understand your data and to summarize that in language that you're going to review, I would contend it's the same thing that you would be saying. It's just typing it for you, and more importantly, you're getting those tables back, right? Those are math. That's math.
Sure. And guys, I agree that you gotta verify the data. You gotta just don't copy and paste something without examining it. I put in, when I started learning about this, Ernie, I put in a question, what is a GRM? And then I thought, I hit enter and I thought, oh, I should have said in appraising, because it, good knows what, it came back. GRM is for a gross rent multiplier. Oh my God. What?
All right.
It was slightly, hold on. It slightly was wrong. Wasn't wrong. But what it did was it used annual. And we as appraisers know GRM is what? Utilized monthly.
Yeah.
So I had to tweak it a little bit. It really was talking more like a GIM. But guys, it was incredible. It did
You know how it knew that an acronym related to your particular question, because you've been talking to it before.
Spying on me.
It's learning about you. It's learning about you.
Jim. Hey, Jim. Jim asked a question, or really makes a comment, Ernie. He said, Ernie, in my experience, sometimes the regression run by ChatGPT may differ slightly from Excel, as Python sometimes splits the data into a training set and a regression set. Something to look out for from time to time. I often specifically tell ChatGPT not to split the data. I guess you could tell it not to split it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it depends. It's all in the prompt and how you use it. If you're saying use the data that I've updated, and like we did earlier, exclude particular rows that were 0 or 1, it's going to make those calculations correctly. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't review it. I've had, and look, it doesn't always understand your question. So if the results come out and they don't make sense, you need to maybe look at your question or ask it differently, and then you'll get, the correct results. But ultimately, hey, you're signing the report.
Right.
I'm just suggesting that you can use this. People tend to use chat for language related things. What I'm trying to say here is it's a very powerful mathematic tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Virginia said, is there a tool? I know you had a whole list, a prompt list on your Word document a moment ago, which you graciously said you would share. Virginia is asking, Ernie, is there a tool for assisting in writing the prompts? Great question, Virginia.
You can ask chat.
you can ask it to write the prompts.
You can say to chat, hey, teach me how to write specific prompts. What is the best way to prompt? And it will begin by saying, by the way, tell me who you're talking to and who you are, right?
Yeah.
I am a real estate appraiser. I'm writing it for a report, right?
It's incredible.
And then it begins to use business language instead of casual language. So there's that. But by the way, you can, let me see if I've got it. We'll do this in the next session or some other.
Yeah. I think I've got Ernie talked into doing this again, guys. So stay tuned. Judith says, I'm not tech savvy. Is this user friendly? If not, is there one that is?
It is very.
I think it's pretty flipping user friendly. You just type.
It's very friendly because really you just need to talk to it and listen. It's okay to get frustrated with ChatGPT, and when you do, you tell it you're frustrated, and it will apologize. But not only will it apologize, it will realize that it's not understanding you, and it will prompt you back with questions.
Wow, that's incredible. Nazilia says, can you send the pre-recorded? Nazilia, you'll get that as a consequence of signing into this. Also, if you want to go over to our YouTube channel, and a couple of people said I put the prompts in wrong, just go to YouTube and search Appraiser eLearning, and this will show up over there. It might be tomorrow before it shows up, but you will get a copy of that. Craig has a comment there supporting Jim Amaron's book. I've read that. It is a good book. How do I get the prompts? We'll work on getting you the prompts. It's a great day, end of the day, that correlates all the data. By far the most or second most important factor is subject condition. Can ChatGPT possibly analyze for each property's condition?
It can. Now, what we're going to be seeing is obviously photo recognition, right? And there's many companies out there that specialize this in residential photo recognition, and they do it best. But the truth of the matter is, you can upload. I'm telling you right now, you guys should try it. Upload a few photos of different quality or condition ratings, and then ask ChatGPT, refer to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's condition and quality ratings and assess these photos and tell me what you think the condition and quality is. You'll be shocked.
Guys, we just did a play. I sponsor a play every year. It's a community event, and I'm a sponsor. My brother runs a theater, and we've done 7 in a row. And for the little we have a private showing, and for the invite, I put, "Hey, draw me a picture of Dracula," and ChatGPT created an image for me, Ernie, for us to use in the. It's incredible what it can do. Say draw an old man in the sea. It'll draw you that picture. Michael says, bet you could add your subject data and ask it to link to MLS and find the top 5 closed sales to save time filtering. I don't know. Can it do that, Ernie? I mean, MLS is a subscription service. I don't know.
No, it won't, but it'll cheat. Okay. So you can say, I have a 2,000 square foot property that's located. You don't have to put the address in. That's never a great idea, but you could put the Latin long in, right? Or the zip code that it's in. And you can describe the age and the size and different things and say, using online sources, what are some recent sales in the area? And what it's going to do is it goes out and it scrapes realtor.com and it scrapes Zillow and it scrapes Redfin and comes back with a list. Yeah, it'll do that. It's not, I don't recommend it. I think that we have a much greater command as appraisers with our own MLS system. It's much better for you to create a text file and then manipulate that. Real quick, back to condition.
Mm-hmm.
Another way that you can determine condition is you can marketing remarks. I have included those in this download, and they're long, and I didn't show it today, but you can say, properties that have the following list of words in it, put a +1, and that would be remodeled, completely renovated. There's a list of words you can come up with yourself, right? And then you can also do the same thing for negative condition. And hey, that's not perfect, but it is going to make some gross cuts there and immediately identify which properties have these keywords in them that's what you do when you're reading.
Yeah.
And those are the ones you can go look at the MLS photos online with and make those further determination. But why not let your electronic assistant call the data so that you're looking at 15, not 150?
Guys, we have just barely touched this much, not even a quarter of an inch of what this thing can do for you as a practicing appraiser, and not just as a practicing appraiser, but for a business owner. I mean, it can write marketing ads for you. It can tell you, you could put in there, what's the best way for me to seek out non-lender work? It'll provide you recommendations of how to go out and get non-lender work. It's incredible what this thing will do. And we've barely touched the very, very little basics of it. And Ernie, thank you so much, because you really gave some great information of how to utilize this machine to analyze data, which is a big, big help for the appraisal community in particular. Guys, we're running out of time. I apologize. Ernie, if somebody wants to reach out to you directly, what's the best way for them to contact you?
You know, my email address is my name. I've had Durbin.com since 1993. I think that was even before Al Gore invented the internet. But my email address is my name. It's Ernie, ERNIE, at Durbin, DURBIN.com.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
And/or Ernie.Durbin at Voxter.com is my corporate address.
Appreciate you, Ernie. Thanks so much. We're definitely going to have to do this again. So I'll twist your arm. We'll figure out that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to see you out in person, where I know you said you'll be at Aero, most appraisers don't go to that, but where will you be conference wise, where somebody could bump into you?
Well, you know, I'm always going to be at Vow Expo, and I try to make the the summit and the others whenever I can. I mean, on election day, I'm having a full knee replacement, so I'm going to be down for a little while. But
and being all juiced up and out of your mind during that day might be a good way to watch the election results. I don't know.
If you just go to my LinkedIn profile or Durbin.com, there's a place where you can put yourself on my calendar if you want to talk about something.
Very good. Ernie Durbin, thank you for being here. Jim Morrison, any final words before I close it down?
No, we really appreciate Ernie. It sounds like there's a huge demand for more on this. So Ernie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, well, it was great. I enjoyed it a great deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Appraisal Report webinar brought to you by friends at Appraiser eLearning. You need some education. Check us out at appraisereLearning.com. Check out our YouTube channel. We got all kinds of good stuff over there. Don't forget us over at Appraisal Buzz. Hal and Jim does the Buzzcast. Ernie's been a regular guest on that program as well. And of course, if you need some education, please remember us. We provide these free webinars, the free podcast, as a way for us to give back to you. We just hope that when the time comes that you need a little education, you remember us over at Appraiser eLearning. Until next time, please stay safe, make some money, take you a little vacation once in a while. For Jim Morrison, Ernie Durbin, I'm your host, Brian Reynolds. Until next time, happy appraising.